Four's up, baby. UCLA heading to their first Final Four in program history. Revenge is sweet as the Bruins take down the LSU Tigers. But most importantly, the job ain't done yet.
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Locked On UCLA podcast. I'm your host, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. Thanks for making this show your first listen each and every day. It's free wherever you get your podcast, and it's available on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, download. It's your team every day. We're reacting to UCLA's Elite Eight victory over the LSU Tigers, 72-65. The Bruins have already set a program record for single-season wins. This is a year where Cori Close has already become the all-time winningest head coach in UCLA women's history, one of the most dominant, if not the most dominant player in UCLA history with Lauren Betts, and yet the story was not about her. Partially. The Bruins weathered the storm. In a moment where last year they would have crumbled against LSU. Maybe earlier this season they would have crumbled against USC or against LSU in a different part of the year. The Bruins came through and played what felt like 14 straight minutes without Lauren Betts, or maybe 11 straight minutes. I forget the timing of it. Betts picks up her second foul late in the first quarter. And of course, you're going to hear the broadcast say, yeah, this is seemingly this is an exaggeration, but this is the first time in her life she's picked up two fouls in the first quarter. Well, probably her college career and in 10-minute quarters for college basketball. That means in the first part of the first half, they were without their best player for the majority of the first half. And they outscored LSU in a dominant second quarter, like absolutely flat out dominant, where this is the reason why Cori Close went out and got some of those transfers. That's where Timea Gardiner came up huge. 0 shots taken against in the Sweet 16, right? The 0 shots taken. Absolutely none against Ole Miss. And then she comes up 5 of 11, 5 of 8 from 3, a steal, a couple assists, a few rebounds. That's elite stuff from Gardiner. That's what you need from the former Pac-12 Sixth Player of the Year, who comes up and is like, all right, I came to UCLA for moments like this, and absolutely shined in her brightest moment as a UCLA Bruin. Oh, Gabby Jaquez, who is probably the star of UCLA for today, had 0 turnovers, 8 rebounds, 3 steals, 18 points, 5 of 7 from the floor, 4 of 5 from downtown. Between Gardiner and Jaquez, combined 9 of 13 for UCLA. Of course, if you have the Jaquez name and a UCLA jersey on, you're bound to be clutch and a big-time player when the tournament comes around. And all gas Gabs, Gabriela Jaquez, living up to the family name and creating a name and a legacy in her own right with a big-time game. This was one where Lauren Betts, 17 points, 7 rebounds, 6 blocks, still dominant, but her early foul trouble kept her out for the entire second quarter. She had 5 turnovers, leading the team, having a third of UCLA's 15 turnovers, and almost kept LSU in the game, where UCLA, I thought the first 4 minutes had everything go their way. I thought this was going to be a blowout with the way the game started. LSU couldn't buy a bucket. UCLA was making early shots, and then they stopped making shots. Lauren Betts picked up a questionable early foul, gets a second one, and then all of a sudden, the momentum shifted. Bring in Gardner hitting some clutch threes in momentum-shifting moments. Gabby Jaquez, who we've been asking, has been needing to make big shots. This was the moment where she did. I talked about it in recent podcasts, how maybe she can have a big game like she did in the Big Ten tournament. Here she was having a big game. Oh, last year when UCLA lost to LSU, we saw a lot of Angela Dugalich shoot the basketball. In this game, she was spectacular. She didn't score a point. She had a couple of assists, a couple steals, a couple turnovers, but I thought defensively she was huge. Not dominant like Betts, not a absolute steal master like Gabriela Jaquez, but the fact that she played defense, had to play a lot of minutes with Betts out, and didn't let the opportunity come to 4 shots up really distract her. There were a couple of possessions, I believe, in the third quarter where she missed a couple, and Dugalich, yes, did have 2 points, but didn't make a single field goal in this game. I thought she played well, and the stats won't show it. Underrated performance from Dugalich. In a game where you see London Jones and Kiki Rice combined for 3 of 15, you think, uh-oh. And FLAU'JAE is scoring almost 30 points. You're like, man, that's probably not a game UCLA wins. No, they did, and they won it by 7. They won it going away. I know they got a call late with 2 minutes left. LSU ball. UCLA's up 4, and the ball hit Kiki Rice's foot. But I mean, let's be real. Kim Mulkey's like 30 feet on the floor. How does she not get called for a technical or being out of her coach's box there, right? When she's literally jumping out of the way of the basketball, not because it got thrown into direction, because she's like 20 feet on the court. So I know if you're an LSU fan, you're going to come watch this. You're like, that kind of changed the game. UCLA hit a 3, got a bucket, pushed the lead up to 9. It was a call, but both teams had calls go their way. And with Mulkey not being called for anything, for being literally on the floor with the play in that quarter, in that direction of the court, and she's standing on the court practically wearing almost a UCLA white jersey, right? She had a white undershirt on, the big steel magnolia flowers all over on her jacket. Pretty cool look. But, you know, if you're looking at the wrong angle, you have a quick look, looks like a white UCLA jersey on. If you have a quick glance, I'm not sure how she wasn't called for anything while she was on the court with the ball rolling. They're like, well, the ball went off Kiki Rice's foot. Well, it looked like it almost went off Kim Mulkey as she was jumping out of the way, getting back out of bounds where she should be off the court. Okay, now we know she's a great coach. She's won multiple national championships. There was the article that criticized her on the eve of the UCLA LSU matchup, kind of detailing more of her past and her growth into becoming what she is now, one of the best head coaches in all of women's college basketball. But if we're going to criticize, hey, that call by the refs in that moment, hey, look at Kim Mulkey literally standing on the floor 30 feet in the play of basketball. It was ridiculous. Now, you have to applaud the heart shown by LSU. We'll talk about UCLA too. Aneesah Morrow apparently broke her nose and fought through all that to put up 15 points. She didn't have her best shooting day, but as an undersized player against Lauren Betts, post-wise, her rebounding was on point. Still, Aneesah Morrow fighting back, breaking her nose and just gushing blood. You have to applaud the effort there. Even if it's on the opposite side in a losing effort, that is heart and tenacity and toughness showcased in the highest order by Aneesah Morrow coming out. And whether it was broken or not, but it was reported that her nose was broken, playing with no mask. I'm pretty sure that's as dangerous as it gets. You have an nose injured in basketball with no covering, no face shield or anything. That's as dangerous as it gets. And she came out and showed some heart. Samaya Smith was huge, but UCLA getting her into early foul trouble also coincided with UCLA going on a run with Lauren Betts on the bench. That meant Smith was off the floor. UCLA could have, say, Gardiner run around, shoot some threes, knock them down, and then the Bruins only had to worry about Aneesah Morrow rebounding the basketball or FLAU'JAE Johnson. My question from the LSU perspective is, Johnson was red hot. Now she threw up a lot of shots late and was making them, throwing up, she took over and was putting up last-second desperation shots where, all right, I'm going to take the basketball and shoot it, layup, 3, knocks it all down. Why didn't they roll with her sooner? I know she didn't have the best game in the Sweet 16, and she was seemingly motivated in this Elite 8 game for the Tigers. I don't think UCLA ever stopped her. She did have 4 turnovers, but she didn't lead her team in turnovers. That wasn't really what stopped her. Hit all her free throws, shot 10 of 17 from the floor. It felt like they missed an opportunity when Johnson was somewhat in takeover mode, and she didn't take over the game until it was far too late. I think UCLA got a gift there. But if it comes down to a call or foul, like the best player in this game sat an entire quarter plus, and UCLA still won this game. An entire quarter plus. Their second best player played one of her worst games of the season in Kiki Rice. All right. Okay, cool. And still, UCLA, while only scoring 9 points in the first quarter, came away with the halftime lead. Every time it felt like they had the haymaker, LSU came back up when the countdown was at 8. They get back up and they fought to the bitter end. That's the heart of a champion and the grit and tenacity UCLA did not have last year, walking away with a victory in the Elite 8. This team, this is the way it was constructed and why it was constructed for a game exactly like this, where a team with the championship pedigree, some of those players still on this roster, that embodies the toughness of Kim Mulkey, Cori Close, who's trying to break down the doors for a UCLA program that in the NCAA era has never been to a Final Four, comes in and makes their path known, makes their voices heard. This is a UCLA team that has been they've been discounted the whole season, right? You've seen South Carolina struggle to get through their games. You've seen UCLA do the same thing, and everybody's saying like, UCLA is not the number one team. Well, they beat LSU on a neutral court. Last year, I thought UCLA should have done this. They should have beat LSU. They were up 3 with 2 minutes left, and they didn't do it. And it felt eerily similar where they're in the same spot, 3 to 4 point lead, LSU creeping back in it. All right. But the way the team was constructed, not guard heavy, but Lauren Betts. And it's great to see when the best player realizes she's the best player and acts like it, right? This is the growth from year to year, from game to game, from month to month from Lauren Betts, where in March, specifically in the Big Ten tournament, when she blocked Juju's shot a couple of times, she started to realize, wait, I'm the best player. Think about the best players in the sport. Juju seemingly plays like she's the best player on the court when she was healthy, of course, every time for USC. She's like, I know I'm good. Not flashy, just going to go out there and dominate. Paige Bueckers goes out there, puts up a 40-piece in the Sweet 16. A bad game for Lauren Betts still involves 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 block shots. That's how dominant she is in the post, and she still needs to get her due, be recognized. The first UCLA All-American ever, and she's dominating. But the story of the game was Jaquez, 18 points, 8 rebounds, and a source of pride on defense coming in just to calm, cool, collected presence for UCLA in a game where they needed her. Timea Gardiner, they went out to get her for a moment like this, where last year my key to the game was who would shoot better, UCLA's London Jones or at the time LSU's Haley Van Lith. Well, Van Lith didn't shoot that well. It was FLAU'JAE Johnson who outdid Charisma Osborne, Kiki Rice, and London Jones. This year, London Jones, it looked like was getting chased around a lot by Samaya Smith and this LSU team, and yet Timea Gardiner comes in a taller, a right-handed shooter, and just a different motivation for UCLA to get open shots where somebody who got 0 shots in almost, if you think about it, a week of game action, right? You take away her in-game minutes against Ole Miss, that's no shots. You put in her second-round minutes against Richmond, you're like, wait a minute. That's almost a week's plus worth of game minutes where she hasn't gotten a shot off and did not miss a beat when the lights were the brightest. All right. Not everybody can play like that. Not everybody can step up. And if UCLA goes on and pulls off what is their first championship in program history during the NCAA era of women's college basketball, that's a moment that should be remembered. Hawkins' performance and Gardiner's performance, because they were both equally as important as impressive when UCLA needed it. Now, maybe the next game, when it's expected to be against UConn, the winner of the USC-UConn matchup, will play UCLA in the Final Four in Tampa. Keynote, UCLA gets an extra day of rest, and it will also be against the team playing in this West Coast Spokane Regional. Go all the way down to Tampa in that Final Four on Friday. So UCLA will have 1 day's head start with rest, right? When you play Monday and then you got to play Friday, cross country, that's tough. So for the fact that UCLA got this afternoon slot, a whole evening of rest, and they're going to travel across country with the extra day's worth of rest just to scout their next opponent, whether it's UConn or opponent they know all too well, although the Juju-less USC Trojans, right? Either way, that's going to be a huge matchup. I've expected it even prior to the Watkins injury to maybe be UCLA-UConn, but now it's kind of easy to say. Who knows what it could be next for the Bruins in their first ever Final Four game in the NCAA era of women's college basketball. Greatness. All right. Now, Kiki Rice is going to have to step up next game if it's a battle between her and Paige Bueckers. Doesn't have to match her point for point, but you shrug this one off and you go back next week. Because guaranteed, it's not like UConn's going to wait like LSU did today for FLAU'JAE to just go at the end of the game, start putting up buckets. Paige is going to start from the right way. Fudd is going to go out there. They got Sarah Strong. They got players who can ball out at UConn if that is going to be the matchup. And USC is good enough defensively to make it tough for UCLA on the offensive end, in the post, on the wings, to frustrate them if that is the matchup in the Final Four. Overall, this is the team win, and this was a year in the making. It started with the road into November, with them playing South Carolina. Them leading into the USC matchup 1. No. USC matchup 2. No. The heart-to-heart players-only conversation that led them run through the Big Ten tournament, win, and beat USC with Juju, which I thought was important, and then survive each little battle, right? Round 1, dominate. Round 2, against one of the best offensive teams in the country, beat them. Round in the Sweet 16, beat one of the best defensive teams in the country. Then now in the Elite 8, the 4th round, one of the most physical teams that will not stop, with a championship head coach that outcoached them and out-hustled them last year, and they beat them, and UCLA came back a year later to exact revenge. Revenge is sweet. It was great, and yeah, maybe a call or two went in their favor, but when your best player sits out an entire quarter plus and you still outscore the opponent, and I think played overall better. The Bruins kept turnovers for a large portion of this game to a minimum, shot really well, and if Gardiner and or London Jones are shooting well from three, you're not going to beat UCLA, even with a call or two, even with, if UCLA is shooting well from three, it's over. LSU fought their best. They're one of the tougher teams in the country, and I could see why people picked them to upset UCLA. It's just, no, that wasn't going to happen. And that's why we're excited. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to bet on everything and use on everything, from buzzer beaters, Cinderella stories, even who's cutting down the nets. And it's easy and fast to use this FanDuel app. When you win, you get paid instantly. There's no waiting around. So go visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. All right, remember, 4's up, Bruins fans, rocking and rolling. The program's first ever Final Four appearance during the NCAA era of women's college basketball. The Bruins have made history this year. Single season wins record, most single season wins, if I could say that. Cori Close, all-time winningest head coach in program history. First All-American. The list keeps going on. Why not stop at national champions? Of course, another battle in between that and a national championship game. Will it be UConn? Will it be USC? Follow Locked On UCLA for all transfer portal news for the UCLA men. Spring practice is about to start for football. And, of course, the UCLA women are marching on to the Final Four into next weekend. Let's rock and roll. Hands up, Bruins fans. 8 clap time, baby. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, UCLA. UCLA, fight, fight, fight. This has been Locked On UCLA. Zach signing off. Go Bruins.